Hi, introduce myself. My name is Chris Dietrich. I'm age 34. I'm a research assistant at Cornell University in Ithaca, New York. What type of geek nerd am I? List every nerdy thing I'm passionate about. Well, you only gave me 15 minutes for the video, so I'm going to have to cut this one a little bit short and touch the highlights. I'm a multi-purpose geek nerd. I love comic books, Marvel, DC, Dark Horse, etc., etc., etc. I love science fiction, I love science, I love history, I love creative challenges, I love wordplay and bad jokes. But like a Swiss Army knife of geekery, I've got one larger, knifier knife, and for me that would be tabletop gaming. I love board games, I love card games, I love miniature games, but most of all, I am a rabid fanatic when it comes to role-playing games. I guess maybe not a rabid fanatic, but a fanatic at any rate, and I'm about to explain how. On my Saturdays, I run two different youth educational role-playing game programs. I also run one additional role-playing game, and I play in two more. My wedding ring is a green jade 20-sided die set in silver. My lovely wife Andy, say hi Andy.
Hi Andy.
Wears the matching ring. And we were married at Gen Con, one of the largest role-playing conventions in the world, well, gaming in general, and it's also one of the larger geeky conventions in general. Our ceremony, let me make sure I don't forget anything, our ceremony had elements of Lord of the Rings, Monty Python, Superman, Star Wars, Princess Bride, cosplay, and Magic the Gathering, all wrapped into it. Thanks in large part to the wedding, I'm featured 3 times in the history of Gen Con. For frame of reference, Stephen Colbert, Vin Diesel, and Nathan Fillion each show up once, so I match the 3 of them together. I'm not much of a bragger in normal real life, but you know, this is the venue to brag it up. So yeah, I've played over 3,000 hours of role-playing games at tabletop and LARP games, and nearly 1,000 of that has been spent running the games as a GM or a dungeon master or whatever the various games call the person who is in charge of the story. So, what am I exceptional at? What do I do better than anyone else? So, with over 7 billion people on the planet, I don't think it's terribly likely there's anything that I'm better than everyone else at. But there are a few things, very geeky things, that I'm exceptional at. I'm very good with trivia, both processing it and gathering it in the first place. I have a really strong sense for story. I've got an almost synesthetic feel for the flow of narrative. I spent many years in OM, Odyssey of the Mind, which is sort of like a creativity sport. And from that I gained a set of skills on how to try and stay creative in the face of stress. And above all, my main talent has got to be game mastering. It's a talent that really draws on every other talent that I have, from the ones that I'm just good at to the ones that I'm exceptional at, and combines them together to tell a good story and give a good performance right off the cuff, in real time. I'm good enough at it that I've actually been paid by an Ivy League institution to run games, and I have a huge length and breadth of experience with gaming and game mastering as well. So I don't, like I said, I don't usually brag, but I really am a damn fine GM. And I don't usually think about that much. It would sort of taking too much pride would probably get in the way of actually doing it. What would I guess is my IQ? It's a fun question, especially considering the best research psychologists on the planet can't agree on any definition that's more concise than that cognitive thing that IQ tests measure. And that those tests, the results vary from day to day because there's so many outside factors that move the results back and forth. So, I guess all taken into account, I'm probably at about 135, but on some days I might be as low as 110, and some days I might be as high as, say, 150. Not exactly sure. Okay, how would somebody who knows me describe me? So I don't really have time for deep introspection here. Let's see. Kind, nice, creative, occasionally clever, chatty, intelligent, talkative, procrastinating, loquacious, friendly. Some of my friends do call me the king of unnecessary prefaces. And I asked my wife Andrea over and over again to give me a good response. And she kept saying that I was indescribable, but eventually she relented and added on to the list geeky, dorky, and verbose. Am I in a relationship? Why? Well, obviously, yes, I am in a relationship. Andy and I have been married for 7 years. Why? Well, we're a matched set of geeks. We love each other. We enjoy and tolerate each other. We make each other happy. And I guess that's really what it all comes down to. So, yeah, I could wax romantic geek all day about Andrea, but, you know, I guess this is the time for me to brag about myself, so, Is there anyone I consider out of my league? Well, before Andrea, I would have said just about every woman on the planet. After Andrea, at least intellectually, I'd say no. I fell in love with a woman, the best I could hope for, the best I wanted, and I got her to fall in love with me. And, you know, after you sort of set your goal and hit it, it's kind of hard to say that anyone is out of your league. That being said, it's easy for me to say that no one's out of my league because I'm off the market. I mean, I might just collapse to a drooling mess in front of a beautiful girl if I were on the market, but I'm not. What topic would I win in a debate? So, it's been a number of years since I was in Toastmasters. I did that for a little while. But I never really did debate or forensics. So it's hard for me to say with certainty how well I would do. I like to think that the fact that I'm a voracious conversationalist and that I like playing devil's advocate, and I like to think I have a gift for seeing both sides of an issue. I'd like to think that all of those would play into debate prep and the debate itself, but it's hard to say. As for a topic, I could do almost anything with a little bit of research, as long as I could wrap my head around it, but science fiction, gaming, or superheroes would all be solid areas that I wouldn't actually have to do much research for. Where do I get my news? So that would be NPR, BBC Radio, Al Jazeera Radio, The Daily Show and The Colbert Report, British panel shows, and a little bit of Cracked.com. Geek out. Okay. So, geeking out. This is a Star Wars topic. So, when my friends and I first went to see Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, there was one thing that really stuck in our craws. It drove us nuts. And that is, when Anakin goes to Amidala and says, and lets her know that he just basically, well, slaughtered an entire village of Tuskens, including the babies, her response was to love her genocidal bad boy even more? That's dumb. That makes no sense whatsoever. It's almost offensively dumb. And so, the conclusion that I came to pretty quickly was, well, Anakin has a lot of power, obviously, enough that he could, without even intending to, make her love him. Okay, well that's not actually the point of this Geek Out, though. The point is that Amidala is a grain. When the original trilogy of Star Wars movies was out, Lucas told everyone who would listen that he'd based a lot of it on the work of Joseph Campbell, the scholar who analyzed myth and legend, and that Luke and Obi-Wan were analogous to Arthur and Merlin. So if you're not familiar, Igraine was the wife of Duke Gorloy of Cornwall, and Uther Pendragon, Arthur's father, cornered her at a banquet and tried to have his way with her. And this resulted in a whole war being fought over whether or not Uther Pendragon was allowed to sleep with everyone else's wives. Obviously, Duke Gorloy felt he shouldn't be. Uther was so in lust that he talked to Merlin and got Merlin to cast a spell that would make Uther look to be Gorloy, so he could sneak into Gorloy's castle and sleep with Igraine. So basically the magical equivalent of a roofie. And this is not my family unfriendly story. You can take this up with Geoffrey of Monmouth, but and most of the other people that tell Arthurian myth since then. But that having been said, Merlin's part of the deal was that he got the result of this. That would be Arthur, who he took off to be raised in secret until he was old enough to wield his father's sword. So then compare that to prophesied king, risks everything to sleep with a woman who's far too good for him, has his son taken by Merlin to be raised in secret until he's old enough to wield his father's lightsaber. So, long story short, Amidala is Igraine. So, I do understand that a lot of this video is obviously somewhat prepared for, and that one of your goals in a reality show is to know whether or not a person can extemporize for a few minutes on camera about something they don't necessarily see coming, and can blather pointlessly on whatever topic you want to. So I asked my wife to come up with a question for me, and I don't know what it is. So what's my question, Andy?
Okay, then, quickly, this is based on something I saw earlier today on Facebook. If you could choose one, would you choose to be a Jedi, travel in the TARDIS as a companion, or go on the Enterprise?
I think go on the Enterprise, because the Federation is sort of a utopian setting, and that's quite pleasant and good. But the Jedi are kind of emotionless jerks, to my mind, and traveling with the Doctor would be exciting, but it could well end up quite terminal. There are a number of precedents, well, actually, only a few precedents for actual terminal case, but, you know, it's pretty darn dangerous, and there's not as much actual emotional reward. On the Enterprise, I don't know, I'd be several centuries behind on the educational front. I guess I could start off in the classroom for the children of the crew. That would stink. So, I don't know. I'm tempted to say none of the three, but I'd like all of the three. I mean, as a geek, I can't say no to any of them. Do I want to be a Jedi? Sure, I want to be a Jedi. Even though that Jedis are kind of a creepy, emotionless cult. Do I want to travel with a Doctor? Sure, I want to travel with a Doctor, even though it's a bad idea. Do I want to go on the Enterprise? Sure, I want to go on the Enterprise, even though I would be the town idiot. So, well, thank you very much for listening to my piece of well-polished nerd, and I hope I get a chance to speak to you again.